Imagine you're watching a film shoot take place in your city. A stunt is being shot. A female motorcyclist rides down a ramp, but instead of stopping right after the ramp ends, her motorcycle accelerates, hits the sidewalk curb, she gets ejected, and flies through the glass window of the building across the street. This is what people witnessed in Vancouver, Canada on 14th August 2017 on the sets of Deadpool 2. Today, I take you behind the scenes of one of the deadliest on-set accidents in the history of cinema. Stay tuned.
And rolling sound. Quiet. Here we go. Ready. Speed. 120, take 7. Ready. And starting right on the lens. Ready. And action.
Joi Harris was a professional motorcycle road racer. In fact, she was the first African American woman to participate in an American Motorcycle Association event. Off track, she worked as a respiratory therapist at the Good Samaritan Hospital in West Islip, and it was perhaps her life as a medical professional that encouraged her to espouse a safety-first motorcycle philosophy. As such, the events that took place on 14th August 2017 are deeply and sadly ironic. The story of the accident begins on 11th August 2017, 3 days before the actual accident. On this day, Joi Harris, who had been hired as a stunt double for Zazie Beetz, the actress who is playing Domino in Deadpool 2, walks into Mammoth Studios in Vancouver. There, she met the stunt coordinator, they discussed her previous biking experience, and signed her employment documents. They also went to the makeup department in preparation for the shoot the following Monday, and had a costume fitting session where she was fitted with a padded costume with padding on the back, elbows, and knees. Everything looked like it was going well, except for one deviation from the safety policy of 20th Century Fox, or TCF for short, the production house that was helming Deadpool 2. On this day, Joi Harris was supposed to have what was called a new workers orientation session. Now we'll get to what exactly this session entailed later in the video. But this departure from safety policy of the company is important to remember. So keep that in mind as we progress. On 12th August 2017, Joi Harris and the stunt coordinator met at Mammoth Studios at roughly 10 in the morning to assess her motorcycle riding capabilities. This session, which was filmed by the stunt coordinator, involved her riding around cones and speed training with a focus on the skills of skidding, braking, use of the clutch, and throttle control. The stunt coordinator had also organized for 3 bikes so that Harris could ride, assess, and select which one she wanted to use on the shoot. Now there are 2 important things to note here. The first being that this was Harris's first job as a stunt person. She was a professional road racer who was used to riding on open tracks, not on film sets where her path would be laden with obstacles. Another important point that is noted in the incident investigation report by WorkSafe BC, or WSBC for short, which is the organization responsible for educating and consulting with organizations in safe workplace practices, and responsible for enforcing the Workers' Compensation Act and Canadian Occupational Health and Safety Regulations, is that She admitted to a colleague that she had never ridden a Ducati bike before, and all the bikes being used in the production at the time were Ducati motorcycles. On 13th August 2017, Joi Harris met the stunt coordinator and two other stunt persons to practice a sequence inside the Vancouver Convention Centre in which she would be riding a motorcycle up an escalator. The stunt coordinator had organized for 1,000 cardboard boxes to be laid on either side of the escalator so that if someone fell, the boxes would break her fall. Another stunt coordinator was riding just behind Harris to prevent anything from going drastically wrong, and yet another stunt coordinator had been asked to be present at the scene so that if Harris looked uncomfortable or nervous or was unable for some other reason to perform the sequence, this stunt person would take over from her. The escalator was also fitted with a wooden ramp to provide the motorcycle with a smooth platform as it ascended. Harris practiced this sequence initially with a dirt bike before then practicing it with the motorcycle she had selected the day before. Eventually, they moved outdoors to practice the sequence they were going to shoot the next day. The first set of stairs outside the Vancouver Convention Centre had been fitted with a transition ramp so that the motorcycle could have a smooth surface as it descended. Harris practiced this maneuver with a dirt bike the day before the shoot. (14th August 2017), the day of the accident. Joi Harris arrived on location at the Vancouver Convention Centre between 5 and 5:15 in the morning. The stunt coordinator arrived 15 minutes later. At about 6:30 in the morning, there was a safety briefing involving about 95% of the team where they discussed general safety measures like first aid attendants and the location of the fire safety extinguishers. The things that a team would normally discuss at the top of the day in a safety briefing. Because Joi Harris was still with the costume and makeup department, a stunt person worked as a stand-in to help the camera department set up. Now it is important to remember that this stunt person performed the sequence with protective headgear on, because the WSBC investigation report very clearly mentions that Joi Harris was not wearing any protective headgear while performing this sequence. At around 8 in the morning, Joi Harris started practicing the sequence. She initially performed the sequence at a quarter of the speed originally planned, before progressing to half the speed that was planned, eventually rehearsing the sequence at full speed, which was expected to be around 20 to 25 kilometers per hour. In a statement to the WSBC investigative team, some of the stunt personnel present on set that day have said that they saw Harris stabbing the front brakes as she would stop at the first transition ramp, causing the front wheel of the motorcycle to lock up and skid down the ramp, making it very unstable. This is why a stunt person was situated right beside the ramp to prevent anything from going drastically wrong, and the team decided to build a second transition ramp to give more length for Harris to slow down and stop. The accident has been clearly captured on video. Now, this video is not publicly available but has been clearly described in the investigation report. What we see in the video is that as the motorcycle transitioned the first ramp, the front wheel became airborne. As soon as that touched the ground, the rear wheel became airborne, and as soon as that touched the ground, the motorcycle accelerated till it hit the median, ejecting Harris, who struck the branches of a tree across the street and flew into a glass window of the Shaw Towers. Emergency services responded almost immediately, but Harris was declared deceased on the scene. Now, the WSBC has made several remarks in their investigation report about the lapses in safety measures on the day and what could have been done better. Following is a summary of their remarks. The WSBC notes that there was no risk assessment done before the shoot, especially with a view to mechanical failure and potential human error. There was no risk assessment done to understand at what speed the motorcycle could become airborne and what additional risks arose as a result of constructing a second transition ramp which was not originally planned. Now this is interesting because this in fact could have been done the day before when the sequence was rehearsed on location. Also, the motorcycle that was used was meant for riding on smooth, fairly uniform surfaces and may not have been ideal for this occasion. In addition to this, no risk assessment was done to identify the ideal settings and modes for this particular sequence. WSBC also implies that a flat deceleration area instead of a second transition ramp would have been a much safer option for this sequence. Moreover, TCF did not inform its production safety department about the risks of this particular sequence through a production safety checklist, as is the norm. Now you remember the new worker orientation session that we had spoken of earlier in the video, which should have happened on the first day that Harris visited Mammoth Studios. Now this session would have consisted of a briefing about the personal protective equipment that she would be wearing for this sequence. This was not done, and as a result, there was a violation of the regulation that mandated that anyone performing such a stunt should be wearing protective headgear. What is even more scathing is that the investigation report mentions that some hairstylists admitted to the investigative team that the wig she was supposed to wear for this sequence would have hidden any protective headgear that she would be required to wear for it. What happened on the sets of Deadpool 2 on 14th August 2017 violated several sections of the British Columbian Workers' Compensation Act and Canada's Occupational Health and Safety Regulations. As a result, this case was adjudicated in the courts. It ended with an out-of-court settlement between TCF and Harris's family. The purpose of this video is not to lay blame at anyone's feet. There is never enough time or money to get everything done during the production process, and the team is always dealing with a lot of stress. I am simply making this video because I have worked with diverse teams in many parts of the world, and as a result, I've had the good fortune of working with teams who make health and safety a priority. But I've also had the misfortune of working with teams whose attitudes towards health and safety are quite lax. Time and money are always in short supply when you're making a film. And sometimes it can feel like the risks the shoot poses are too small to warrant any money or attention being paid to them. However, it's important to remember that the human brain is not equipped to deal with the kind of acute stress that one faces on a film set. On top of that, when there is a crisis, people revert to muscle memory. Muscle memory that is developed through training and practice. Therefore, the only way to build safer sets is to make sure that good health and safety measures are built into our workflow in such a way that when people revert to muscle memory in moments of crisis, they end up using the safest methods to execute tasks. And I hope that Joi Harris's accident can be a lesson for us in how important it is to build safe sets and make sure that everyone is healthy and happy. I will be back very soon with another video. Till then, stay safe.